King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby. Hey everybody, what's going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today we are looking at Batman 401 dated July 1986. I would have been around 5 years old when I encountered this comic. Not the first comic I encountered, that's Batman 402, which was reviewed in yesterday's episode. So we are going backwards to 401 because that's chronologically more than likely the order in which I encountered them way back when. So this issue features as a villain Magpie. And this issue as a kid definitely contributes to the idea for me that comics are really weird. This character was very off-putting to me as a kid, kind of creepy. You know, the design overall, pretty sure it's a John Byrne design because he used her in Man of Steel. And this is a John Byrne cover, not the same art as the interiors. Yeah, something about the shape of the hair, like a bird, you know, obviously Magpie, duh. But these like feather plastic shoulder pads, is that a blouse, a shirt? I'm not quite sure how to, define it. I mean, it's not a bad drawing. John Byrne's a great artist. Gun texture is super awesome. I like, she's into jewels and stuff, so I like that the jewels here, that I'm not sure if that's all drawn or if he used some sort of weird photostat pattern, but I don't know, there's a texture I enjoy because it's kind of very 80s to me. But yeah, and also, just going to mention it before we open up and check out the comic book, there's definitely something weird going on with the shape of the head. I'm not imagining that, if you really truly pay attention, I draw as well. I can't believe that that's not somehow on purpose. And for anyone who's not seeing the obvious, I'll just say it's pretty phallic, right? Let's crack her open. All right. So creative team, this is a film issue. So Barbara J. Randall is the writer, Trevor Von Eden artist, John Costanza letterer, and Adrien Roy colorist, or Adrienne Roy, however you want to say it. A Bird in the Hand is the title of the story. So as a kid, what kind of hit me with this issue is, like I said, my lack of graphic knowledge of how to read comic books. And it was slightly confusing to me, and just again seemed very odd. It was a odd, weird world. So we're gonna rifle through pretty quick and comment on the art, especially a bit of the story near the end. But as a kid, like I said, I wasn't reading it too much, so I don't think I was getting too much of what was going on. And, there are just certain moments in the comic that are very memorable to me that I'm going to kind of stop on. But I will say Trevor Von Eden, amazing artist. Batman looks great. Batman's kind of a measure in mainstream comics, I mean, I think it's hard to draw a bad Batman, but, if you can't draw a good Batman, then there's probably, some other career you should be looking at. Love the art everywhere. Simple, effective, slightly cartoony. Storytelling is great. Easy flow. The reading directions, all that. The diagonal to go here, moving across. He's looking down. The classic kind of Z reading pattern. Great faces here. Quickly done, but like well done. Quick brush strokes. Even like sometimes trying to find a simple way and time-saving way to create textures kind of eludes me, and I end up spending a lot of time on the textures, working them out. This is like a good example of this guy just working really fast and bringing it down and simplifying it to a level that works graphically quickly. When you're reading the story, you're not kind of questioning what that is. And as an artist, this probably didn't take too much time, and it also creates a very kind of dynamic effect in the drawing, right? Again, some great shots of Batman. So now we move on to, as a kid, the boring parts, right? No action. Didn't spend much time on these panels as a kid, and would kind of move on and look at the more kind of action-oriented, fun stuff, Batman stuff. These are pages that maybe are a little bit more boring to draw, but Trevor Von Eden's doing a great job here of keeping the storytelling going, and the faces are all very consistent, which is, as mentioned last issue with episode rather, with Jim Starlin, that's kind of an issue. Faces changing. Trevor Von Eden, one of those artists that kind of masters that. Real quick, this ad, Keith Giffen. Love a lot of Keith Giffen stuff, particularly his Lobo Infanticide and Trencher stuff. So they're at some sort of ball or something, rich people party. And you got to assume this guy's not a nice guy, right? Right away, he's got that classic kind of bad guy villain face, mostly in the eyebrows, right? When you're drawing that. But again, face is very consistent. I like, again, the slightly cartoony aspect, but very naturalistic overall. Just simple textures here. This took him maybe 15 seconds, but it's those big kind of velvety curtains you can see in these kind of events, I guess. So more storytelling pages, establishing this guy as the baddie. Oh, I'm not that bad, but then, he kind of turns all in the body language. So that's, the kind of stuff you want to be looking at as an artist, of how to progress from, kind of being nonchalant and not caring to getting to the point, adding the shadows, the scowl, the eyebrows, again, do a lot of the work most of the time. And to the point where, he slaps this guy, the waiter, as he walks by, which is a great kind of slightly cartoony moment, but it works in here, in the sequence, right? So basically, another good example too of what I'm talking about there in the expressions the artist is giving is no indication here, obviously. Then we see her here, looks kind of sweet and innocent and young, and then all of a sudden her face turns, right? So we know, obviously, visually there's something wrong with her. So this is one of those images where I'm like, hey, what's going on? When I'm 5 years old, this is kind of creeping me out here. And then obviously this lady's super horrified about what's going on. So, makes you want to turn the page. Again, that, Z reading direction where you're going like this. He's kind of leading you here. This is leading you down. The angle across, make your way down. And these, lines here indicate the page turn. It's all kind of more subconscious, but that's the artist when he's drawing, he's thinking of these things. Here's a comic trope, right? Like the hero in some sort of moment in his public identity, symbolically, somehow his alter ego is suggested. So this is kind of an interesting way to do it here, which gets the point across. We're like, oh yeah, Bruce Wayne is Batman, obviously. Steve Ditko had that kind of trick where he would draw half of Peter Parker's face and half of Spider-Man's face, which I thought was interesting too. It's a pretty cool way. So these are the little graphic kind of things of language of comics that sometimes escape you when you're 5 years old. So when I was 5, I don't think I quite got what was going on here. I do now, obviously. Will Robin Die Tonight? The first of the New Adventures of the Batman, issue 408. I think that's after year 1. So will Robin die tonight? We know he doesn't, but he will die a few years later in the Batman series. Is it 427? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, eventually Robin will actually die. Look it up. This is a great page. This is more of a, even though it's 1986 before this, but it's kind of an image page, I would call it. Not too much background. A lot of big shots, anchor shots, which is fine because most of the storytelling was done in the previous pages and done well with lots of panels and clear storytelling. Nothing not clear here, but you're getting big kind of action shots, action beats, which obviously works with the storytelling where we're going with Batman here. And they're all great shots. I like, this must have been just like, I'm not sure what he was inking with here, probably a brush, but I could be wrong. This right here is like, it almost feels like he did that in like 3 quick swoops, and it's kind of big and brutish, but it totally works, right? The shadow makes him look a little bit, suggests like Batman, the darkness. Very well done. Same idea here, more the darkness is enveloping his face here. kind of a Superman trope, but like works for Batman too. And that's just a great shot. He's not doing much. He's just kind of standing there. There's a slight Klaus Janson quality, I find, to some of the inking there. A little rough, which is fine. I like Klaus Janson's inking. Then it kind of changes a little bit graphically here for these shots here, but I still like it becomes even more dynamic in a way. Like they still look great, right? He just uses a different approach kind of in these two panels. I mean, how different? I don't know, but there's just something different that I find is cool, again, graphically. And he's clever in avoiding backgrounds in a good way. Like he'll do it, very simple stuff that probably takes a minute or two to get down, but it's just enough with what he's established in the beginning, right? Like something like this, that's a clever way to do it, because, drawing a whole room at this angle is probably, it takes hours, days. It's a chore, but just kind of a section like that, you can get away with, doing it pretty quickly. This is another shot where I think the background is super effective. And also time-wise as an artist, probably didn't take that long. And, you add that second floor, that character, just these little details that, really work here. Very kind of Adam West classic here. This is right before year one and the rebooting of Batman. So, I don't know if the artist is just saying, we're probably going to say goodbye to this kind of side of Batman, at least for a while. And that is kind of what happened. So let's have some fun. And this really does seem like a direct reference to the Adam West TV show. I can almost hear the music, right? Do, 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 do. It's coming out of the cave and everything. So somehow they know what's going on here. I didn't even read up to this point. I'm going to stick with that 5-year-old's vision of just kind of looking at the drawings. As an artist, though, I do enjoy like these little drawings. These two specifically, like that's a great shot too. But these two specifically, because again, probably done pretty quickly, but super effective. Just really well done. Lots of negative space, black. Same thing here. Stairs, I always really do not enjoy doing shots of people running up or downstairs. This is pretty standard and head on, but I mean, it works and it's effective. And I like this kind of shadow effect outline here that he did, which just kind of makes that image, not that it's bad before, but this element here just makes it a little more interesting, right? Over here, I like shots like this. I need to do them more. Character in the foreground and almost creating another panel for character in the middle ground or background, right? Always fun, these panels. So Magpie, right? Here she is. Classic Batarang shot. Again, there's a Jansen quality I find to this inking here, which again, I'm totally okay with. So Batman, Robin, this is, again, it's almost like an Adam West episode. They're fighting the henchmen, you can hear the biffs and the baffs and the crash, and there's a bop right there. I should be reading whack, I should be reading these sound effects. And okay, so here's the sequence as a kid that was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just weird, maybe a little adult for me when I was 5, or just like, ooh, like, I didn't really think about boobs when I was 5 years old, but this made me think about boobs. So Robin, jumps at Magpie, says, "I got her, Batman." And as he flips over her, grabs what I was saying is those winged feather kind of shoulder pad things. And again, sound effect, rip. So he's ripping it on the way over, lands on his back here. And as we can tell, at this point, her whole thing is kind of open. So we can obviously assume that her breasts are out, right? So even though we don't see them, to me, is this an editorial thing? Like, I think at that angle, there'd be at least a little bit of side boob or something, but there isn't. So, maybe editorial took it out, or the artist was just prudent and working for DC and figured, they're not going to let me draw a boob in this comic. And it's the suggestion of it, which is fine too. I'm not suggesting like the boob has to be there. But as a kid, it was like, yeah, it was kind of a slightly adult situation for a 5-year-old to be contemplating. So it always kind of stuck in my head. And I mean, I guess I was kind of feeling like Robin is here, kind of embarrassed and, oh, excuse me, like embarrassed to the point where you're a thief and a criminal, and I'm gonna let you run away because I saw your boobs. Turn the page, moving on. Another Jansen-y panel right here. That to me looks almost like Jansen was helping out. Um, Something like this too. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they worked together, they were friends, but not taking anything away from Trevor Von Eaton, because all the stuff that clearly is his is great in this issue. It's just a great issue visually. Here's another section I really like. His kind of, I would almost call it like an Alex Toth kind of version of Batman. There's something slightly akin to when Steve Rude does it, does Batman rather. Yeah, just I think he just may have decided for fun to try different approaches to Batman. Like stark blacks like this, more linear in other shots. I mean, just all the Batman stuff in here is pretty great. So we get to the end, or close to the end here. Now, this I remember, Magpie drops, she's obsessed about jewelry and stealing jewelry, as her namesake, the Magpie story. So she drops some jewel here, goes under, like, this is all black, but we can, clever artist, we can clearly see it's going under some sort of like desk drawer kind of situation, and she won't be able to reach it, I guess. Batman and Robin are caught in some sort of death trap here. Again, more parallels to Adam West, 100%. So I guess the writer, Barbara J. Randall, her closest reference to Batman and Robin was the TV show, which makes sense in 1986, before the Batman movie, the Tim Burton Batman movie in 1989. This is some of this may have been drawn before or during Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. So this is right in the middle of where the tide is turning, and what Frank Miller did in Dark Knight Returns. A few issues after this, he's going to do again with the origin of Batman in year one, and that's going to change the perception, how Batman is seen, and how the creators approach him for the next. I mean, I think I would argue they're still strip mining Frank Miller. Yeah. So this is just before that, still kind of Adam Westy. So she is able to get it. I always thought that was a great drawing, but again, weird. Her design, the glasses, everything. I always thought this, like, the character just still somehow kind of creeps me out. There's just something weird about her. Yeah. And her haircut that makes her head look like a penis. More good Batman shots here. So basically, Batman uses a jewel to mesmerize her. And there you go. It's over. That's kind of an unfortunate shot there. Not that I noticed that as a 5-year-old. I'm just saying that now. Unless you have a good reason to do it, I would kind of avoid that angle. It's kind of a case. I don't know if you guys out there have seen the match between Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior from I'm not sure which WrestleMania, but it's pretty sure it's 1990. Well, that's what it reminds me of. If you've probably seen the meme. But yeah, it's an unfortunate angle is what we'll say. So there you have it. That was, they say this is the cover to watch for. That's issue 402, and that's what we talked about in the first proto episode. And just for fun, I had no idea when I was 5 years old. Again, this was just kind of a cool drawing. Brian Boland pinup, which is great. There's a quote here from Raymond Chandler. Down these mean streets, a man must go who is not himself mean, who is neither tarnished nor afraid. He is the hero. He is everything. I mean, not so subtle. Obviously referring to Batman here. Kind of cheesy, but, these kind of comics were still kind of geared towards children, I think. Other than maybe the boob shot in here. Or suggested boob shot. Green He-Man again. Love it. That's such a great drawing. And of course, again, American Defense, G.I. Joe ripoff, only at Kmart. So the fact that it's sold at Kmart should kind of clue you in to how great this product is, and how popular and it was and how long it lasted. I didn't remember this at all when I saw the ad in the last episode. And yeah, that's about it. So Batman 401. Check it out. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hope you come out and check out our next episode tomorrow. I am out.